a Caterpillar yourself. Talking about tight, kind of corridor battlegrounds, we're going to be figuring out where game number 4 is headed to. Is it going to be one of those battlegrounds? No.
That's definitely not a tight battleground.
Yeah, no.
That's probably the least tight battleground that we have.
Volskaya Foundry, selected by Tempo Storm. Oh, Tempo Storm. Whenever we get to cycle in that, kind of unique map into the rotation, they always seem to be the ones that be comfortable to picking it up.
Hold your horses.
I'm looking to hold the said horses.
Both of these teams ever run Cho'Gall in this map. It's different now. It's different. All right, here's why it probably won't be, because the way that it works, obviously, the first Protector is extremely powerful. We've seen some buffs to the Protector. You want to win that first team fight. You want to get control of the battleground. Cho'Gall hits the spikes at 13 and 16, and it's really difficult by 13 and 16 as a Cho'Gall composition to not be down 2 to 3 levels. There's a lot of experienced players on LFM that have run Cho'Gall comps. If you look in their past last year in Open Division, we got T Sprung from Tempo Storm previously. I don't think we'll see it, but if you're going to see it, it's going to be one of these teams, and it's going to be this battleground.
We even got an Eastern Clash Cho'Gall on Volskaya Foundry as well. So I think it's definitely possible if we do see the Cho'Gall picked up one of the other common pairings. I don't know, was it for LFM or for Tempo Storm, but very much Ariel is another one that kind of comes to light when looking at that, just because the ability to have such a good hope generator like the Cho'Gall to kind of stand out. I feel like if a team does that right now, I feel like I'd like to see that to be Tempo, just because LFM has done such a good job of holding their own that, that if they go out on this game, they will end up going down to Tempo, and it's just, it always feels bad when that goes out on the pocket strategy, but it is good enough that maybe I'm not giving it enough credit.
Yeah, there's some other picks to consider. Obviously the Junkrat, I think, will have a big factor on this. Maybe the Hanzo, but we've also seen in Europe, Chromie. And we've seen kind of the time trap build be very effective on this battleground, so we'll see if that comes out here for either team. So we are ready for the draft.
You know what I can rely on, J-Hal? Medivh won't be in this game.
Woo! There's one team in HGC North America that's run Sylvanas.
Who is that?
LFM.
Are you thinking this is the time or the place?
Ooh, if you want to avoid a team fight and maybe force out some stuff.
There's the Medivh taken away. Here comes the Maiev. Tempo Storm. Maiev was in the script. Yeah, we got a little bit bored when we were writing the script this week. We decided to keep the meta, about as rinse and repeat at the top half. Tempo deviating from this.
Deviating? Deviating?
Deviating.
Oh my God.
Man, that was...
How long did you write that one?
It took me about 0.2.
0.2 days?
Yeah. They are hovering. No commitment to it yet. There we go. Sticking to the script. Thank you, Tempo Storm. First pick, Malfurion. Is it the Genji Uther again?
I don't know. I feel like maybe Uther wouldn't be. I think Stukov. If we have a long, drawn-out fights, Uther, you got to be a little bit quicker on the trigger. We've seen a lot of Stukov. I think Stukov kind of really came in on this battleground.
Yeah, he really did. I mean, the just conveyor belts alone and that functionality, it's pretty wonky.
No, thank you.
If we do see them go into the Genji with the Stukov, it just, again, raises the same concerns. Not having the opportunity to move into the Tyrael, don't have too much counter momentum on your own side to keep the Genji alive. I just feel like I'd rather see you not pick the Genji, right? If you're going to go in that route. We'll find out, though. Maybe Tracer instead. Go Tracer Stukov to get the deny on the other side. Tyrael Stukov as well. If you want to pull that away. Blaze. Okay. Genji.
Interesting change-up here for Tempo.
Yeah. Not sure how I feel about it quite yet.
We've had one Blaze game from Glaurung, season-wise. See if we'll make it game number 2, or maybe we switch things up. Obviously, Genji has traditionally been Psalm. Fan can flex over to that, but this is also a battleground where we've seen another melee-heavy centric Tempo Storm. They've run a Ragnaros on here. Obviously, I think that we see what we've seen thus far in the first 3 games is a shift for Tempo Storm in terms of how they're approaching these drafts in the second part, and I actually like it a lot more.
LFM, you have to commit to anything. I mean, do they feel like the fact that they are not going to have the option to move into that Tyrael Blaze is too big of a setback here? I still feel like there's got to be that Tyrael. Normally you'd poke at the Tracer opportunities, especially considering the snowball capabilities. Diablo, Tychus. Interesting.
Anything you can do, I can do better. I can do Cho'Gall better than you for the last 2 picks. Diablo, percentage-based damage against Cho'Gall. Tychus, percentage-based damage against Cho'Gall. If we see a Gray main ban,
then what happens when a new Brat gets picked?
You cry a little.
That feel when Cho'Gall can be countered by so many, you can't outpick or outban it.
I do not like the Malfurion pick for Cho'Gall.
Yeah.
But if you are going against a heavy melee composition, you can hit more Moonfire targets, get a little bit more healing, but... Ooh, we haven't seen Thrall today. I missed that guy.
Might still have a chance to see him. Mixing things up with the hover over Tracer. I'm really trying to figure out, other than the Cho'Gall theory, why to see such a drastic change for LFM. It's not a battleground where Diablo is poor by any means, but definitely doesn't stand out as the, you know, kind of playgrounds like Infernal Shrines and Cursed Hollow can be, and how easy it is to get that point-and-click wombo that we know kind of come in love from him. Tychus makes a bit more sense. It's just mainly the Diablo. What are they concerned with? What are they trying to deny, take away? Is it so they can get that pressure onto the Genji? But if so, again, it's not a map that you're going to reliably get that with a Genji, like, again, Cursed Hollow was of the last game.
If I am Tempo Storm, obviously you can go Gray main, and it's a standard safe pick. But if I am worried that there is a Cho'Gall in the mix, which we know that LFM has run before, maybe you save it for the last. Maybe you take it now. You're risking giving it over to potentially LFM, but...
They're taking quite a bit of time themselves here to try and figure this out. Alex Straza is going to be the choice. Do we see anything to try and get the counter to that? What is even available to be able to deal with that? Malfurion's pretty effective to kind of get zone control, be problematic for Alex Straza over the initial skirmish. Genji is absolutely going to suffer when it comes to the earlier fights. Junkrat is something you could be looking for here. Wouldn't do too poorly. A little bit vulnerable on the back line.
I like the Junkrat pickup. I mean, obviously Tychus gets stronger in terms of sustaining. 7, 10, 13 are obviously really good talents for him, but Junkrat Tychus definitely is vulnerable. But you also have the priority. Alex Straza puts a big green circle on the ground. You know exactly where they're going to be. There is some play around there, and we've seen a lot of Junkrat on Volskaya. I wouldn't be upset with that pick. Maybe just go down the mage route again. T's played, although T is normally the Tychus player. Maybe a Cassia, potentially. That's something that Draded has kind of gone down before.
Sonya Thrall. Ooh, double melee here for them. A lot of skirmish capabilities.
That is an intimidating front line.
Yeah, I mean, it makes that kind of, you know, stack on Alex strategy very, very scary.
This is still OP Thrall, in case you're wondering.
How do you make up for that? Last pick for Tempo, is it going to be the Tyrael? I normally would be like, yeah, even more so to try and make sure that, you know, if they're going to get the all-in around Alex, have something else to make sure the members aren't too afraid. If you don't, something to help enable this melee death ball, it's going to be Garrosh.
Get those big-time taunts. We'll see if that plays a factor, but either way, it is an intimidating front line for LFM, but with Diablo, with Thrall, they require a little bit of time to ramp up a little bit. You need souls for Diablo generally to survive a little bit more. Thrall obviously somewhat reliant on Crash Lightning, which really does damage late game. Sonya, obviously pretty strong all around. We'll see. Having the block charges to deal with Greymane are good. Genji, not so much. We'll see the positioning there to see if you can avoid, keep those up for early engagements.
I feel like I give the early, Protector fight probably over to Tempo Storm, especially with a kind of later selection into that, unless somehow they can capitalize on Alexstrasza and the AoE healing there. But I don't look at that comp and go, it's going to be too problematic. LFM can bring that fight so much more so, but maybe they can prove me wrong. I do agree as the game moves on, it might be, a composition that can really kind of bring the fight into Tempo Storm's comp, but it's just one of those we've seen what these early game protectors do. The snowball starts and it quickly just gets out of control. The avalanche is soon to follow up. We'll figure it out here. LFM sitting a match point against Tempo.
Sitting here, we're going to see Cattle on Garrosh again. That is a Garrosh into a Tychus. We'll see how that minigun stacks up damage-wise as we go later on, but Tempo's holding off on a few talents there at level 1.
See if we see the full, heal build on the side of Alex.
Draded reported AFK.
He's got the happy cloud. Can't report anybody with a happy cloud. Figgy, though, on the other hand, don't know what to tell you about that guy. Knock up. Not going to get followed up on. It's a nice little tip at home for everybody. You don't have to flip every groundbreaker. If you flip Figgy, Cattle's going to find himself in an ugly position there. It's a very, interesting lane situation that Tempo went with the 1-3-1 right out of the gates with the laning situation. They gain an advantage on the top rotation. Not going to gain them anything, but always fun to watch where these teams kind of go for level 1s.
Yeah, I think a lot of it was just trying to not let Thrall stack early. I mean, once he gets 20 stacks, then it prioritizes heroes, and it's much harder to stack if you're on staggered rotations. And right now, that's exactly what Tempo Storm started out with. So we're a couple minion waves in, and the rotations are heavily staggered. Psalm putting some damage onto the back line of T there. Aware comes over for the support. Fan and Psalm, they're going to go ahead and retreat and back off.
The biggest thing I'm looking at is just going to be how big of an impact is Diablo going to be, and the double melees over that first Protector fight. Can they find a way to collapse around Tempo Storm? Because over that, point A in the control point, it really is only susceptible from left to right above, but that's all about vision control around the minion wave over mid, and then bottom. But the bottom is typically always dictated by those offlaners, which you see Blaze and Sonya already kind of going there. So again, it's just more of a game of information. It's not very easy to get that collapse and flank around. So how will LFM, manage to get a way to get that kind of pressure against what I'm assuming to be a very sustaining-oriented kind of composition for Tempo?
One way they're taking advantage here, you can see Figgy and team, they're coming over. They're not going to be able to do much with it. You could see Blaze make the rotation up on that conveyor belt and moved up just in case he was needed for that defense of that. But LFM had other things in mind. If they've turned their attention, they're going to pick up a turret. So that healing pulse will be available for Tempo Storm on that first fight.
See Aware committing to the deep roots at 4 there on Malfurion. Going to help trying to, maybe zone out. Also keep track of all those targets whenever they stack on top of the Alex heal. If you keep them down, long enough there, maybe get the Twilight Dream or just even an APOC, something to set yourself up. Look for a couple of kills as we have a pause coming in here from Figgy.
It's just chilling. We got 30 seconds out from our first control point phase, and you could see that LFM, they were squatting on that camp, waiting to time that. You're going to try and force out a rotation. The control point's obviously long enough in the early game, well, throughout the game, that normally it can be responded to. It's just when you look at the wave clear on the side of Tempo Storm, Greymane's good, but he's not necessarily super quick. I mean, obviously once he has Inner Beast, and then Blaze obviously a little bit slower clear, so we'll see how long it takes to respond and whether LFM decides to try and take advantage of that if they can see somebody rotate up there.
Yeah, and it's going to be also Tempo Storm has, I don't know, man, how this fight is going to happen around this objective, not only because of the global pressure that they have, or not global, but more so macro pressure in terms of the camps on the map, but for me, it's just going to be positioning around this first objective, and again, how LFM can get that kind of approach towards it. I'm really curious to see how it unfolds, because to be honest with you, it seems so late game oriented that I go like, there's no way Sonya can kind of get that skirmish. That being said, I'm always skeptical when I see Alexstrasza. I have a real hard time anytime I see that pick going, yep, this one's going to be the one that pulls it in. It's very different than the Stukov trade-off. Stukov viability and the reasoning for that, I think, is pretty clear in a lot of the ways in the power spikes that he has. But I don't know. I just wonder, you know, is the Diablo and the initiation there going to provide enough collapse, or is it actually going to have the inverse effect, and Tempo has a really easy time keeping themselves up, especially with Garrosh Blaze? I mean, they never need support from the Alex. It's just going to be Genji and Greymane and how they make that happen.
The Alex Straza, generally, we've seen so far pretty much reserved for Infernal Shrines. Go in the globe build or the globe talent at level 1 so that after you have enough globes, then you provide a globe. Maybe that will add to the sustain. I don't know. It's something we haven't seen a lot of here. The Stukov, I agree with you, probably a little bit safer. But without further ado, we'll head back into game number 4 here with Tempo Storm up 2-1.
Sorry there for a moment. My computer screen had a kind of funky moment, but we're back. We're back in action. 10 seconds out. Flip. No. Well, there it goes. The stun is there. The damage coming in onto Cattle. Able to get the heal, but the zoning route there from Aware. First kill. First blood, for that matter, over to LFM.
Dread, check out who's in top lane.
It's the, you know, it's going to be Blaze.
Forcing out the rotation, but Glaurung trying to get an advantage of his own. They ended up prioritizing that camp. LFM did make something happen off of picking that up.
Good job for them, but it's not, you know, done yet. The control point takes some time to totally gain that control over. Tychus is going to get rid of the information on bottom with that minion wave, get that cleared there. Probably about 50, 60, maybe even 70% before Tempo Storm move up. Here comes the collapse. Sonya is going to be slow in rotation. Nice control there for Aware, but throwing down that root means that Tempo Storm might be trying to make that rotation and capitalize on that, because that's going to be one of the biggest deterrents. Hold up.
T continuing to rip through that health bar, but now they've got their eyes on Figgy. As you can see, Glaurung coming down, but instead the returned aggression there by LFM, putting quite a bit of damage onto that front line. As the bigger they are, 4T is ripping through the health bar of Garrosh and Blaze.
There goes the Alex heal. Everybody moves up. Nice root. Once again, a lot of damage onto Cattle. Able to get the double there as that Dragon Queen being popped by June. But everybody on LFM's pretty healthy. They aren't too scared, except for Figgy falling very low there. Genji goes in. Genji quickly goes out, swaps with all that damage on that ancient spear, able to get a 1-for-1 trade. And now this 4 versus 4 should go in favor of LFM.
Standing their ground for now. They're regaining control. They're at 99% and channeling. It looks like the first protector will indeed go over to LFM. That's a big victory for them. We'll see how much they can do with it. Generally, you're going to look at the fort wall here mid, rotate up to the top, but there are no minions here yet, so eating quite a bit of damage is this protector.
How much can we see make happen? First turret going to drop. You know, I feel like when we look at that first protector fight, normally I was like, I feel like a lot of the questions I have, you know, I always look forward, were any of them answered? Were we able to gain that much? And I feel like because that force rotation with Glaurung, with the, you know, kind of showing himself up on top of the Alex, we saw 2 moments where it was able to get punished, but still hard to, you know, kind of draw any conclusions for that. So we'll see if anything changes.
John, I think LFM is being way too forward with this protector. They're getting 1 wall and not much else. A little bit of damage, but in terms of what we've seen recently, this should be obtaining quite a bit more value.
Ended up keeping a lot of targets, you know, on other points of the map, and also, again, taking maybe a bit of free damage. This Cattle trying to punish. Move up, get a flip onto Tychus over the wall. I agree with you. It does feel like maybe not got as much out of that situation as they could.
Generally, it's well minimum after you get through that wall. They didn't even put their attention on that well. However, they are closer to 10. But Tempo Storm not too far behind. We're going to see LFM pick up the healing pulse here.
Earthquake is a selection there for Thrall. This is one of those teams where with so many melees, I go Earthquake all the time, right? Like you're like, oh, okay, we get a lot of control over that. There's not much territory to zone, but then again, based off the idea of Alex and how easy she wants to be stacking, do you really, you know, do you want to risk that and maybe go with more of the Earthquake? They decide against it, or excuse me, the Sunder. Going to go with the more slow sustain for Thrall. Surely going to be overly problematic if too many resources committed to him for a kill.
10-10, Cursed Bullet again. I think it makes quite a bit more sense against this composition as opposed to the Gopher Throat that we had before, or before the Cursed Bullet that we had in the previous. But either way, Tempo Storm trying to counter the push here as they have a camp of their own, but it just seems like they're having a hard time finding the aggression with this composition. Obviously, Garrosh generally kind of counters quite a bit and goes in, but Psalm putting some pressure onto T. You could see Cattle trying to go in, make his way over to the Aware, but unable to do so, Dre.
Yeah, that was a really good use of the Indomitable to make sure he didn't get split the other way. A lot of damage there going on to Figgy. Psalm not willing to pull the trigger on that Swift Strike, possibly over the wall. I think that's a safe call. You know, Diablo, it's pretty hard to do the math because a lot of people, you know, he doesn't scale like linearly in terms of HP as everybody else, right? Because he's getting those souls off the minions. It's, unless you're keeping track of those ticks of HP on the health bar, it's pretty hard to be that concise. Zed gonna back away, kind of rotate out, join maybe Glorong here, who's been doing his best on the Blaze, setting the minions ablaze.
Pretty even so far. Not the big breakout fights, but now that we've hit level 10, the next control point when it does spawn, I think will be kind of the big time. You know, we've got Thrall sitting at 11 stacks on his Crash Lightning.
Figgy got flipped. Gonna eat a Cursed Bullet there. Not gonna cost anything. 30 seconds out from that top control point. Blaze versus Sonya, who makes the rotation, who makes it when? Sonya going out right now, 20 seconds before. Blaze still questioning if he wants to make it. He'll stick around for an extra minion wave. The race to 13 should be won by them, but it shouldn't be won hard enough that, you know, any team has anything to kind of write home about.
This is the standoff. This is where I think the game's really going to open up. Both these teams approaching 13. Everything's pretty much even thus far, but you've got a fully stacked Diablo. You've got all heroics available. Figgy putting some pressure on, zoning out for his team so far, but the return as Glaurung comes in, Figgy dove into that back line. APOC is out, but it is all for Not Dread.
Yeah, he's going to be coming back to life, though, with those souls. The fact that he used APOC and went down, it's kind of one of those tough moments where it's like, if you see him hesitate and keep the APOC, comes back with the souls, this fight is reasonable to be won. But now, you might not be, you know, wishing Diablo can join that fight. T gets flipped over, Earthquake goes down. A lot of damage coming out. No Malfurion opportunity yet there. Pulls away a little bit here. Tempo Storm getting a lot of damage, actually turning on to Psalm. June now falling low, gets flipped over. Crash Lightning getting the damage there.
I mean, that jumped big time, and now Dreded looking for more. Fan forced to retreat there. Cattle, he's trying to drop back. Gonna use that bunker as a detour, but he hopped into some roots. Figgy trying to get the devastating charge in, but Cattle hopped back in that bunker. He's gonna be more than okay, but Tempo Storm dropped 2 members in that fight.
How does LFM win so heavily disadvantaged fights against Tempo Storm? This is the 3rd game, I feel like, in a row that we've seen from them. If not, it's been at least, you know, a majority of the games here where they will win 5 versus 4 down major ults. Like, down, the fact that they're down at APOC can take that and get that kind of turn. I mean, both of the kills they've gotten over the control points are mid-Dragon Queen, keep in mind. And we haven't even hit the 13-16 that we're kind of afraid of, not only for Diablo, but Thrall's hitting those Crash Lightning point where he's going to become a problem.
16 so far. Turrets were picked up at the bottom, or a turret was picked up for Tempo Storm, but 70% has been channeled here for LFM. Remember, Figgy had his souls reset, picked up a few in that last team fight, but nowhere near max strength. There's the toss, the flight over. Figgy taunted in there, and that is the instant blow up onto Diablo.
Yeah, that's a one-shot, one-kill there. 99% and counting in the Tranquility. Healing is, you know, not able to heal enough to keep that Diablo alive. So everybody on LFM, I want to say this is LFM doesn't have a chance to win this, but again, they're winning fights that I have never seen teams consistently win from so far behind here. Sonya did make the rotation though, so it seems like it's going to be forfeited over. Tempo Storm will get the 2nd protector, first one of the game for them. How much can they make happen with it? I'm guessing it's going to be more than we saw at the side of LFM.
LFM going to have a camp picked up here to try and defend in this top lane, where we will see June in there as well as Fan. As Alex Straza and Greymane are inside the protector, they have their eyes on the fort here. LFM got to be careful not to take too much damage. That's 20, by the way, for Thrall on that last jump.
Leap in from the protector, going to zone out T. Glaurung, good posturing, just in case somehow that did end up connecting. Be there with the jet propulsion one-shot. Fort going to go down here for Tempo Storm. Winning the race to 16 pretty quickly, especially if they lock in this turret. Going to be the rest of the key front wall. Not much more past that, though. Maybe mid-fort beyond that point, unless they can get themselves a skirmish.
Remember, it does count as a heroic target, so heroes like Tychus do have an advantage in defending against protectors and the like of vehicles in the game. As you can see, the Aware eating a little bit of damage at the end of that laser. Thrall continuing to stack up, sitting at 26 stacks at the end of this. Maybe get a few more by the time it's over.
This mid-fort rotation was risky enough from Tempo Storm that LFM could look for the 16 and possibly take a fight after. Sonya's going to look to join in. Root went down. Protector's going to walk through. Double oil spill here from Glorong. Going to be set aflame as they walk out. 16's here, but LFM unable to get that skirmish. We go back to the dance here. Wait out the third protector of this game.
Yeah, that top lane, getting that tower down or that gate down does kind of open up the potential, if we see a camp picked up at the top left for Tempo Storm, to push during an objective phase. So they'll probably try and time that out because the next control point will be at the bottom and leave that keep vulnerable. It's up to LFM to make sure they clear that out. They're able to contest that control point. Biggie and team, though, considering taking a fight here.
Aware is in a bad spot, though, if they're going to. He actually drops the ice block to deter the flip over. APOC used from Figgy. Tranquility going down. Two-man groundbreaker. Figgy goes back in. There's the bunker, locking them down. Swab's trying to keep himself alive as Diablo, the first to drop. Will not be able to do so much longer. Tempo Storm, after that nice flip there from Cattle, is going to find a 3 for nothing.
Well, that's going to open it up. 3 members down. They're going to move directly onto that keep. Bunker still not available for 20 seconds, which is generally something you can use, but when you have a Garrosh, you can get onto this. They have the turret. That will eat some of the ammo. That's going to eat about 4 or 5 shots, buy them just enough time to take down this keep tread.
First keep being victim here on Volskaya. It's about the 20, though, and around the timing of the next control point. LFM looking to pick up their turret over the downtime. This is one of those kind of just take whatever you can get. Looking at that last skirmish attempt here. The APOC felt like one of those moments where it felt like it's kind of forced. The Tranquility got a lot of value, but Tranquility, you know, without something else to kind of keep the team alive, just does not heal enough. And then Cattle, the great groundbreaker at the end, because for sure that was a minimum 1 kill after the bunker. It was just, can I get anything else? And again, Garrosh there, Cattle not letting anybody go.
It's tough. You mentioned that 20 tier a second ago, and for LFM, their opportunities are slim to none. You know, we haven't seen teams kind of get into this position that Tempo Storm is in, then just try and use that protector and run up top lane and try and end from the top lane. It's not something I've seen tried yet. So it's a matter of, if Tempo Storm, they don't take a fight, they just play around 20, and they take down another keep, say mid keep, or maybe they just run it down bottom, I just don't, there'll be enough time for LFM to get to 20. So if that's all that Tempo Storm does with it. So it's a weird spot where I want to see what Tempo Storm can accomplish once they do get this next protector, whether they do try and look towards mid-keep, whether they look to try and end, or just push down that mid lane.
I feel like if I'm Tempo at this point in time, other than Psalm, you know, avoiding getting cut out, you go, we start the objective, we look for your response, we know we can dictate your transitions on the map. If you show too much information anywhere else, we take your bottom 4 for free, then we time out the objective. Pretty much we want the minimum keep wall on bottom down as fast as possible. Then we threaten any kills. If we get the kills, we end. If we don't get the kills, we take the keep, then probably still end it. Because in theory, you're going to have to lose too many people on this defense. You're done a 20 talent here and down a 3rd protector.
Psalm is actually hiding in the bush behind the team. There's the taunt, there's the flip. The big taunt's gonna be there. Figgy's gonna go down. X-Strike bringing it down. Draded has put down the Earthquake, but you can see the cleansing flame coming down. Swabs just way too far deep. The reset on that taunt was there for Garrosh. That's instantly 2 members down on the side of LFM.
Seems like Tempo Storm every single time the Cattle has hit that taunt. Somebody is dead. It's so fast, so quickly here with their composition that just doesn't matter. Gives the reset over to the Genji there for Psalm, and then at that point, that's going to be all she wrote. LFM now down 2 kills. It's going to lose this protector inevitably. It's just how much prepping of this bottom lane does Tempo manage to get done.
I'm just surprised they were that aggressive. You know, sometimes we'll see teams kind of push out one of the lanes on the opposite, maybe the top side. But as you said, they would have been giving up the free fort and then potentially the keep. So long-term planning, you know, they're taking these fights. It was a risky fight, 18-20. Did not work out for them. Now they're going to defend this top lane. And now the protector for Tempo Storm has been picked up. It looks like they're just going to do not pass on that bottom lane. They're moving top lane to try and end.
Pretty realistic still for them to get this with their 20 advantage. LFM ideally should be trying to find any of the members of Tempo Storm elsewhere on the map. Unable to find them in that downtime, hiding in the shrub. Gonna get Greymane in here. A little bit of damage maybe lost on the core, but the protector, there goes the jet. Propulsion locking out 2. X-Strike immediately. And look at Aware, that Tranquility keeps himself alive in that ice block for a fraction of a second. But it is merely just that fraction of a second. One man down. Tempo wastes no time. They're looking to take this series.
They're getting on it. 2 members on the side of LFM have fallen. Figgy trying to put something onto June, but unable to do so. And at the beginning of that fight, Figgy was trying to come around very aggressively in that Dragon Queen form as devastating charge hit in. You could see it just at the top of the map. He ended up getting auto-attacked, which is that brushback from that Dragon Queen form. Actually thwarted the early assault of Diablo. So heads up play by June, heads up play by the rest of Tempo Storm after a little bit of a slow start in this series, Dredd. It seems like Tempo found their pace the last few games.
Yeah, game 1 and 2, things were bumpy, but you know, 3 and 4, a bit more according to the plan here for Tempo Storm. Taking it 3-1, and you know, I feel like I was concerned with the Alexstrasza in that game, but I feel like, honestly, I didn't even get to see a lot of my questions answered. It was every single fight was, here's the one shot, here's the cursed bullet, Genji's got to reset. Who cares what happens at this point, because the fight's already won, right? Figgy died 5 times before a fight really even got to happen. The one time we got like the kind of APOC response on the top half and set them behind, and I put that more on the side of Tempo Storm getting that punishment with Cattle on the garage setting the team up, but my goodness, it was just like, don't even know. When the fight's won before it even starts, Tempo has nothing to really concern about.
There was no hesitation at all. I mean, they were clearly set up and designed, so it's like, look, all we need is one flip. Everybody's just kind of anchoring, hanging out. They're like, look, we don't do anything. You pull the trigger, we all follow up on that. And it just worked out. Tempo Storm, they found their synergy. That's where they kind of rely on. And again, I can't help but compliment the fact that we're seeing a little bit of a shift in the drafts. We're not seeing the full-in death ball compositions. It seems like maybe that's phasing out. I'd love to see them go back to it for those pocket strategies if needed, but I definitely like the approach that we saw today from Tempo.
Yeah, I agree with you. That, for me, is probably the biggest thing to take when it comes to Tempo Storm's play and performance overall, because, I mean, I guess we'll be able to ask in a couple of moments when we get them on for the interview, but it's very likely that, you know, it kind of took a mini, calm things down after the Western Clash, going in this first week feeling confident, especially knowing the opponents. But just the fact that they were playing a bit more traditional, playing a bit more meta, because, I mean, 5 melees, you know, 5 death ball, like it was cool, it's fun, it's flashy, but there's a time and a place. And, you know, it's nice to see them kind of stick toward the norm, because I would argue that kind of mentality and that trend is something North America's had for a long while, right? Where it's like, we'll keep running our style, we'll keep loving it, and kind of refusing to go with this, like, the reason that maybe the international meta is forming the way it is. So to have, you know, the top of the top willing to adapt that, pick it up, and implement it into their own play, good signs here for North America.
Looking good so far. On the other side, we had LFM. They came out, won game number 1. That's now twice that they've done that to Tempo Storm, taking game number 1. First series, it was on Sky Temple. This time, a little bit different. So for LFM, not all hope is lost. They make a lot of the right calls late game, but they just still, they're working through some of the rookie type things that you would expect a newer team to do. But there's so much promise with this team. You talked about their draft looking good. There's a lot that they do right, but when you come out of the gates against Tempo Storm, I think that's okay. Again, getting past maybe the next few teams when we look at the standings, you know, can they get over that, get out of that crucible range and maybe make it into the playoffs and make a surprise run?
Yeah, you know, it's going to be possible, I feel like, for LFM, especially with, again, that kind of play that they were able to display today. Man, it's just the fact that those first 2 games, I'm still sitting there going, like, to be honest with you, I saw halfway through that second game, I was like, I just don't even know if there's a world. Like, we're going to sit in a world where I'm going to be like 2-0 LFM over Tempo Storm. What is happening? My goodness. They were able to keep it together.
It's good. It's good for LFM to, I think, get that. See that they can do that. The drafting-wise, they can see what works, what doesn't work. Some of their calls that they made, you know, they can go back and watch and learn from some of those things. But they are doing a lot right. And I think they're just going up against some tough competition. And, again, Tempo Storm, the way that they came out, they were expected to take this series, being the number 1 seed, coming in against the number 8 seed. But LFM did make it competitive, but I think for Tempo Storm getting off on the right foot, things in the future, though, going to get a little bit more difficult as, Team 12, what we saw earlier, said that they think that they're a threat towards Tempo Storm and vice versa.
Yeah, I very much agree with you there. And I do believe that we have Psalm on the line here for our winners interview. Psalm, I've got to go ahead and ask, after game number 1 and game number 2, what was you guys' thought process there after that?
We started off the series pretty bad. It's probably some of our worst play. I don't know. It was maybe having a break after the clash kind of set us back, but pretty rough in the beginning. And then towards the end of that series, we kind of picked it back up. So, yeah.
I wanted to ask, about your guys after the clash. So you did end up going with taking a break? Because I feel like that's pretty expected, especially for a lot of the teams that went to the Western Clash, starting with LFM this week. Probably feeling confident, can take some time off. So I guess you feel not only one that happened, and number two, feel like maybe that's part of the reason for the slow start.
Yeah, we took a week off, and then anytime we have a hiatus between competitive play and then there's just no competitive play for a while. We tend to start off slowly, but I'm glad that we were able to bring it back.
No, yeah, and it looked good and clean beyond that point. Very impressive play. I'm going to send you over to Jay Howe.
Psalm, you guys obviously made a name for yourself by being a very aggressive team, a very diverse team in the way that you drafted and your play style. You come into today, and drafts looked a lot different. Do you guys feel that you're trying to make a change, a conscious effort to change that up, be a little bit more like the global meta?
We're just playing what works. If it's off meta and it works, we'll play it. If it's, meta and we outdraft them standard, we'll go with that.
Now, when you look at a team like LFM, somehow, some way, in both series, they've taken game number 1 off of you. I know you said you guys didn't play well today, but what do you see when you see LFM able to take those first games from you guys?
I think LFM is a lot better than people give them credit for. They really put the pressure on, and they punished us. We were playing with no respect. We were playing so split. I don't know. It was a mess, but they punished us for it. And not a lot of teams do that, even though we don't play our best. We don't get punished like that often. But yeah, kudos to them.
Well, good job to them, and good job to you guys for picking up the victory today.
Psalm,
thank you.
I'm going to go ahead and, change the scope a little bit away from the performance here against LFM. We heard Team 12 talking in their interview before about just having a lot of confidence. Only team that maybe they feared in North America was, in fact, you guys. Are you guys have the same level of confidence, especially knowing you're going up against Simplicity next?
Yeah, I think heading into the clash and having a decent performance gave us that confidence that, we can take it to the next level, even internationally. So as long as we... our biggest problem, like I said in the pre-interview, is we tend to play too fast, too hasty, and we rush things, and we end up, either engaging incorrectly or we're not on the same page. So if we can slow it down, clean up our play, I think we're good to go.
I find it only apt that a team named Tempo Storm is the one concerned about the pacing at which they're going to be playing. I'm gonna, any shout-outs or anything before I let you go, Psalm? Congratulations again on the win here today.
Yeah, first off, shout-out to my team. We had a rocky start, but we managed to pick it up and clean it up a little bit. And shout-out to my org, Tempo Storm, and to all of our sponsors. Red Bull, Red Bull keeps us going all day, all night. NVIDIA, Secret Labs, Skytech Gaming, Felix Gray, PlayVig, and Twitch. And lastly, shout out to the 5-Digit Club. Of course, I can't forget about the club. Thanks for supporting. Thanks to the rest of Twitch chat. You guys aren't as special as the club, but I love you guys too.
Thank you very much for your time, Psalm. And, hopefully maybe one day they'll be as cool as the rest of the 5-Digit Club. Psalm there, man. Gotta love it.
You can be a 5-Digit Club. You just got to go over, watch him play.
Yeah, throw down some dollars.